The Chicago Bears didn't waste any time in Week 1, making some significant moves to bolster their starting lineup. And while the starting roster is shaping up nicely, depth is just as crucial. That's where Ryan Poles and his team are focusing right now. They've re-signed Travis Homer, a solid special teamer and running back, to a 1-year, $2 million deal. On top of that, they officially locked in a wide receiver on a 1-year contract and brought in a couple more players for interviews on March 17th. So it's possible we see a few more new faces soon. Now, Travis Homer is back in Chicago. As a veteran running back, he adds valuable depth to the backfield and is a proven asset on special teams. To be honest, I've had my reservations about his fit on offense, but if we're talking special teams, he's about as reliable as they come. The $2 million price tag might seem a bit steep for someone primarily focused on special teams, but that's the value of a dependable contributor in that phase of the game. Offensively, Homer didn't get a lot of touches last season. Just 6 carries for 23 yards, averaging 3.8 yards per carry and 11 receiving yards. Most of that came in the game against Seattle, when the Bears were scraping the bottom of the depth chart. They weren't playing to win so much as they were evaluating who might stick around. Still, Homer got the job done when his number was called. On special teams, though, that's where he really earns his keep. Playing 166 snaps, the most for any Bears offensive player on special teams last year, he made 5 tackles, had a kick return for 29 yards, and consistently flew downfield to disrupt returners. You can't overlook that kind of effort. When guys were calling for fair catches, Homer was usually right in their face, a reputation he built back in Seattle with Pete Carroll. The Bears see the same value, and with a coach like Richard Hightower, who knows how to maximize special teams talent, Homer fits right in. Ultimately, you need guys like this to round out a roster. Sure, he's not a flashy signing, but special teams matter, non-comp. They can flip games. Having a player like Homer who embraces that role and excels at it is a quiet win for the Bears. Richard Hightower is still running the show on special teams for the Bears, and for good reason. The guy knows what he's doing. With his influence and Ben Johnson working closely with the coordinators, the Bears are making calculated moves to strengthen their roster. They've now re-signed 4 key special teamers: Amen Ogbongbemiga, Josh Blackwell, Daniel Hardy, and Travis Homer. These aren't flashy moves, but special teams depth is crucial for a well-rounded squad. It feels like the Bears are finally prioritizing the often overlooked phase of the game, and that's a positive sign. But let's talk about the more eye-catching move: the signing of wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus to a 1-year deal. This was confirmed by the team on Monday, and honestly, I think it's a solid pickup. Zaccheaus had a career year with the Washington Commanders last season, snagging 45 receptions for 506 yards and 3 touchdowns. His PFF grade of 72 may not blow you away, but it's respectable, 47th among NFL receivers. Now, Zaccheaus isn't a big target, 5'8", 193 pounds, but he makes up for it with speed. He ran a sub-4.44 in the 40-yard dash, and his 11.2 yards per catch show that he's not just a gadget player. He's a guy who can move the chains and stretch the field when needed. Despite running over 300 routes last year, he had just 5 drops. When targeted, his passer rating was an impressive 112.7. That's the kind of reliability you want for a young quarterback like Caleb Williams. His experience isn't limited to Washington either. Before his stint with the Commanders, Zaccheaus played for the Falcons and the Eagles. That versatility and experience across different systems can only help him adjust quickly to the Bears' scheme. And even though he's likely to be a WR4 on this roster, there's a possibility he could push for a WR3 role. With Keenan Allen still a potential option and the draft around the corner, the competition in the wide receiver room is going to be interesting. Bottom line, this is a smart, low-risk signing that gives the Bears a dependable target and more speed on the field. If he maintains that yards per catch average, he could be a sneaky productive player this season. A first down machine with reliable hands and a bit of explosiveness. It's hard not to like the move. The Bears recently brought in 2 veteran speedsters for visits, both of whom could provide a boost to the wide receiver room and special teams. First up, there's Rondele Moore. He's got speed, 5'7", 180 pounds, runs a 4.39 in the 40. In 2023 with the Cardinals, he had 40 catches for 352 yards, 1 touchdown, and an 86.2 passer rating when targeted. But here's the concern. He suffered a serious knee injury in 2024 with the Falcons, and that's always a gamble. Then there's Mecole Hardman, a 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Chiefs. He caught the game winner in 2023 against the 49ers. From 2019 to 2022, he put up over 2,000 receiving yards, 16 touchdowns, and averaged 15.2 yards per catch. But where he really adds value? Special teams, 1,123 return yards over that span. That kind of production doesn't come around often. Now, both players visited, but there's no guarantee they'll sign. The Bears ended up bringing in Travis Homer, which could mean they're moving in a different direction. Maybe they liked what they saw in Moore and Hardman. Maybe they didn't. But if it's up to me, Hardman is the guy. He's got championship experience, played with Patrick Mahomes, and has a connection with the front office from his Kansas City days. Plus, his injury history is far less concerning than Moore's. At the end of the day, this is a big moment for the Bears. If they want to add more speed and depth, these are 2 solid options. Now let's see if they make a move.